Hey, what's cracking? How are you doing this evening? Well, I don't know if it's evening for you, but wherever you are when you watch this video, I hope it's as beautiful and peaceful as it is for me here. If you've never watched one of my videos before, my name is Ricky Dye, and I went to prison in Oklahoma when I was 15 years old, and I was there for over 20 years before I got out. I can't do anything to change my past or to change what I did that put me in prison. So what I do is I make these videos about what happened to me, how it was that I committed the crime I committed when I was 15, what brought me to be in that situation in the first place, and what it was like to be certified as an adult and sent to prison as a kid, what it was like to grow up there and be raised by some of the roughest people that we have in our society. Um, so my videos are made solely. I share my experiences in the hopes that you, my friend, never have to. You'll enjoy my videos best if you'll start at the beginning, because that's where I started when I was 15 years old, and I've tried to tell the story in order. From time to time, I jump around and I do tell stories, and that's what I intend to do today. Today, I want to talk to you about a man named Tony McMillan. In prison, we call him Tony Mac. And as a young man in prison, at 17 when I first met Tony, he was the guy in prison. When you get in there, you're a young person and you look around and there's people that everyone knows and you look up to and you wish, that you had the respect that guy had. And a lot of people in prison, they'll run and grab a knife, and because they're afraid to try to do it physically with just their hands. And I'll be honest, there's a lot of times that any time that I got a knife, it was because I was afraid I couldn't win any other way. I'm not a particularly big guy, and I never have been. I've never won a fight because I was bigger or stronger. Uh, but Tony didn't need a knife. So I never heard a story about Tony Mac going and getting his knife to deal with anything, because Tony didn't need one. Tony was around 6'4", 6'5", just to give you an idea of Tony. He's naturally big man. Never saw him on the weight pile. Around 6'3" to 6'5", I would say. People are always bigger on our memories, and I was a young man. But he was a big man, between 250 and 270 pounds, with a big bushy head of brown hair. I could picture him standing up there next to Paul Bunyan with an axe. That's how I picture him. But an even better picture in your mind of what Tony may have looked like is picture Tyson Fury, the boxer. Picture him with a bigger chest and wider shoulders, a big bushy head of brown hair, brown eyes. And he looked like when you look at him, he looked like he just smelled something bad or he was pissed off about something. Just looked like that naturally, unless he smiled. And when he smiled, he looked like a little boy that was mischievous and full of orneriness. And that was Tony Mac. And when I met Tony, I was 17 years old. And they moved me up there to Unit 5 where all the troublemakers were at. And I would see Tony out there in the evening. And me and a couple other kids, we would go over there and we would try to wrestle around. And he would be slinging around two of us at a time. And they had a drain there, and there was a row of bricks about this wide. And it was probably 6 foot long. And you would stand on that bricks and see who could shove each other off of it. And Tony would shove me off there every time. I tried everything I could to try to shove Tony off there. Because Tony had a name in prison. Tony was someone. And I was just a kid, and Tony probably wouldn't even remember my name. But Tony at that time, he had found God. And his testimony was that the best thing that ever happened to him was getting locked down on H block in McAllister, which is the deepest they can lock you down in the state. Underground solitary confinement. And he said that's where he read his Bible and found God. And so whenever I met Tony, he was carrying his Bible and he was trying to be a better man, and he wasn't taking pills because pills were Tony's enemy. Now, let me tell you that I've brought a lot of drugs into prison. I brought a lot of tobacco into prison, and anything can get you robbed, even canteen, if people think you're weak. But the one thing that will get you robbed the fastest in prison is bringing in Xanaxes or Valiums. You get pills in there, and those guys will eat them pills and come for the rest of them, and they don't give a shit. And Tony, if you had pills, and back when Tony was taking them, Tony was going to get some of those pills. You were going to give Tony some of those pills, and that's all there is to it. And or you would get knocked out, and he would take them all. And Tony, if he had any respect for you, after he ate all your pills, he'd probably pay you for them. But he was getting the pills, period. And there are other guys in there like that. And no matter how tough you think that you are, there's guys that can eat your lunch. And if they can't do it alone, they'll bring help. And there's no guns to defend yourself. And so it's a very different situation. But Tony was trying to live right and do things the way he should, and some pills at the yard. And he wasn't going to do it, but he ends up taking them. And the old Tony Mac came back out. So I was living over here on this. So 5 unit has 5G1 day room and 5G2 day room, and they're in this building. And then there's 5H and 5H2, and they're in this building over here. And that's where we live, over in 5H2. I live downstairs there. And Tony Mac's over there, and he fucked up. And everybody, you know, to stay out of his way. And there's this dude named Whitey. Whitey, he had bleach blonde hair. His skin was white as it could get, hence the nickname Whitey. He had been at a minimum security and got into an argument with a guy in a basketball court. And this guy come in with a knife to stab Whitey. And Whitey said himself that he panicked. He got the knife away from the guy and killed him. So it ended up being a self-defense. He ended up beating it on self-defense. But no man is ever as big as a legend. And that story followed Whitey. And so people said he was a killer. But Whitey didn't go to kill that guy. He killed the guy in self-defense. But that followed him. And so people talked about Whitey like he was a real badass. And he had a lot of people that was real leery of him. And he kind of used that. And he loaned cigarettes out here and there. And people owed him. And he would put pressure on them to pay when they owed him money. Like he was going to get them if he didn't, you know. And he owed Tony a couple packs of cigarettes. But Tony liked him. Tony was trying to be a Christian, trying to live right. He wasn't wanting to whoop people. So every time he would ask Whitey about it, he would just let it go. But now he's messed up, and Whitey's standing out there outside a cell. Him and a cell partner are standing out there with the guys that live next door to him. So there's 4 guys down here talking, and Whitey's telling his next door neighbors what about this guy owing him these cigarettes and what he's going to do if he don't pay him. And Tony hears it and comes over there and says, here, you talking about you're going to do this and that about motherfucker owing you, so where's my packs? Where's my 2 packs? And he starts to give him a story. Hey, Tony, I ain't got him. Before he even gets it out of his mouth, Tony hits him, bam, and knocks him smooth the fuck out. And his cell partner says, hey, Tony, what are you? And Tony hits him, bam, knocks him smooth the fuck out. So 2 people, bam, bam, right in a row, both unconscious, asleep. No exaggeration. 1 hit apiece, they're both unconscious. Now, these next door neighbors, they start to say something. Tony hits one of them, doesn't knock them out, and they go and lock themselves in their cell. So with all this shit's going on, all this noise and ruckus and oh my God and what the fuck, and these 2 guys that live next door come out and they think they're okay with Tony because they don't realize he's been eating these pills. And they try to calm him down, and he knocks one of them out, and the other one runs in the cell and locks down. So Tony has knocked 3 people out and got 3 of them have done locked themselves in their room. And I'm watching this shit from over at the mop closet. So when I tell you these stories about these killers and these legends, man, I'm not getting this from newspaper clippings or anything. It's from things that they've either told me themselves or I've saw with my own eyes. And I've never seen anyone in my life knock 3 people out. I mean, just bam, bam, bam in a row. I've never seen that kind of shit happen. But I had heard that Tony Mac could do that. So Tony's one of them guys that don't need a knife. There's only a couple people in my life that I ever... So I'm going to tell you that anytime I meet you, even if you're a friend of mine, you're my family, whatever, I cannot help it. It's ingrained into me as soon as I look at you, if you're a man, to assess you as a threat. And what would I do if I had to take you down? How would I do it? And there's only 2 men that I've ever met, Tony Mac and David Shatswell. And I'll get to David Shatswell later on. But these guys, you look at them and wonder, I don't know how I would win. Even if they weren't ready for it and I had a weapon, I'm not sure that I could beat these guys. And they're just that monstrous of a man. And now Tony Mac, I tried to contact him through Facebook. And I wanted to see if he would do a video of me because he had such an impression on me in my life. And he's passed away. I didn't see Tony Mac again for years. And finally, when I was at Hinton, when I was much older, I was in my probably 30 by then, Tony went home. He was free, and he had started a ministry. And he was a preacher. And he came into the prison where I was at and came in and preached a service to us. And it blew my mind. So as a young man, Tony Mac really had an effect on me. As looking up to him because, you know, I didn't have a dad. I was raised in prison by criminals. Not all of them bad men, a lot of them good men that just made mistakes. So this will be volume 1 in a series about Oklahoma prison legends. and I will make a little series of these. But I do want to get back to my story. I've just been in DU at Cushing, and I'm about to be shipped to Holdenville, and I'll be jumping back to that. Now that my health is much better, I'm going to be popping videos up every day, every other day, every 2 to 3 days, no more than three, maybe every day or every other day for the next few days while I'm feeling like doing it. And if you, it helps the videos best if you watch them as I put them out, but if you can't, well, you can catch up as you can. Before I end the video, I want to give a shout out to John Doe. He invited me to his birthday party. I put the little short up. I came down. He put me up in the nicest motel in town. I haven't stayed in a motel that nice any other time in my life except for on my anniversary. I really appreciated the hospitality I was shown there. It was an awesome time. Rob Johnson, I don't even know how he found out. He heard shout outs on the channel. Roger Williams looked the name up. It was over a couple counties close to him. Called him. I was at his house. He took off work and came to meet me. So shout out to him for doing that. I had a great time, and I look forward to do it in the future. I think sometime this summer I'm going to set aside a date, maybe on the 4th of July. Tell everyone that I'm going to be at the lake here in McLeod, and anyone who can show up, we'll have 4th of July together or something. Maybe we'll do that. As a side note, you know I like to help people. That's my thing, trying to give people a hand up with a small platform I've been blessed with. So in my description of my channel, there will be some links to some new channels if you would like to go to them and support them. John Doe, I talked him into starting a channel. He is a fire chief there in Idabel. The captain, not the chief. He tells me not the chief. He's the captain there in Idabel, and he's given a go at making a few videos. So you might give him a shout out. DOA's Pest Control in Oklahoma if you need help with that. Mid-American Construction if you need help with that. And if you're down around Idabel, you need some plumbing done. Straight flush plumbing, because you can't flush a straight flush. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. May God bless and keep each and every one of you until then. Peace out.